Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rusty 78609 or 609 in Central Texas, USA. It is Sunday morning. I'm out for a Sunday drive. It's about 10:30 a.m., 79 degrees, beautiful day, top down degrees. That means if you had a convertible, you'd put the top down. But what I want to talk about this morning are some of the strange occurrences that have happened while I was RVing. I've been a full-time RVer for 25 plus years. I'm 73 years old. I've mostly gone RVing in a travel trailer. I've also gone off and on for 5 years in a Toyota Prius, and I've also gone in a pickup with a camper top on the back. And I'll talk about some of the things that have happened while I was out camping in different places, and some of them are explainable and some of them aren't. Some of them are easily explainable and some of them are not so easily explained. The first one occurred when I was out in the Big Bend area on the Terlingua Ranch. I had bought some property and parked my travel trailer there. I had no hookups of any kind, completely dry camping, and you were out in the middle of nowhere. There was nobody around in any direction, probably within 2 or 3 miles of where I was. So it was extremely private and quiet. Well, one evening, it was just about sunset, and I always built a little campfire and had me a beer or two, and then watched the sky fill up with stars, which I always thought was beautiful. That's explainable, obviously. But I was sitting there one day, and I heard, or one evening, and I heard it was like the wind was picking up. I mean, it was like it was. I could hear the wind. It was picking up, but there was no wind blowing on me at that moment. And so I looked around, and I'm thinking, well, maybe there's a storm coming up. I didn't see any clouds in the sky. The sky looked perfectly clear, but it just had that sound like the wind was picking up. And then all of a sudden, it was like something came right over me within a few hundred feet or less. I mean, like a giant bird had flown over me. And I didn't hear any real sound until later on, and then I heard the sound of a jet, but it was a long time after this thing had passed. But I put the two together, and I thought, well, maybe they go together. Well, that happened that evening, and then a few evenings later, the same thing. So I started asking around, and come to find out, this one is explainable. It was a B-1 bomber from Dyess Air Force Base out of Abilene, Texas. They come out there and play their little war games, and what they do is they get down what they call on the deck, which is about 800 feet, and they're going, I don't know how fast they're going, supersonic, I guess, and then they just head up and then over a place called 9 Points Mesa, some mountains to my east. But they're going so fast, they're so far ahead of the sound, that all you get is this weird rush of wind movement, and then later on, the sound, which is not really that loud. Actually, I was impressed. That was one. But anyway, that got my attention, because I thought, boy, I just saw my first UFO. I know. But anyway, that was one. The second one that I recall was, and there's probably many others. These are just ones that I can pick out of my brain now at age 73 fairly easily. If I really sat down and thought about it, I could probably come up with 100. But I was camping in my Prius, and I was in New Mexico at a place called Angel Peak. And it's, I wished I could remember the name of the town it's south of, but it's a Bureau of Land Management place. Pretty nice little place. Not much in the way, it's kind of scenic. It's up in the elevations a little bit. And no one was there when I got there. Later on, one person appeared, but way off to my right. Certainly not bothering me. So anyway, fooled around, went to sleep, usual time, 9 or 10 o'clock, whenever. And anyway, during the night, I could swear I heard footsteps outside of my Prius. And, I maybe there's somebody wandering around here. So I got my flashlight and I waited a few seconds to see if whoever it was would disappear. But yeah, and then the sound stopped. And I thought, well, I better get up and check. And I thought, no, if somebody's crouching right outside your door, that's not going to be too good. You open the door and you've just got an uninvited guest. At least right now I had the advantage because I had the mine changer in my hand. The mine changer is a .38 pistol. Back then it was a .357. But anyway. So anyway, I lay around there, didn't hear it anymore, so I thought, well, maybe somebody just walked by and that was the end of that crap. Well, anyway, the next morning I got up, and I'm always one of these guys, I'll check for tracks, okay? In other words, I'll look around my RV or my automobile or whatever to see if there's any. I always look for animal tracks is really what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the real predator, the humans. So I got up the next morning. Sure enough, yeah, there were footprints, but they were barefooted human prints. Barefooted. And I thought, man, anybody that go barefooted in this crap's got to be insane. Well, that didn't encourage me a hell of a lot. That's all I need is some nutcase roaming around. So I made up my mind immediately. We're not going to be there anymore. But that other car was gone in the morning. I don't even know if they stayed all night or not. I don't remember hearing them leave. That doesn't mean they didn't. But that was one that was kind of semi-unexplained, because whoever it was walked around my car and pretty close. I mean, the tracks were right next to the car within a yard. So I think they must have walked around looking in the vehicle, and since their lights were off and it was a moonless night, they couldn't see anything, and they really weren't sure if they made a move if they'd come out a winner. And I hate to tell them, they may not have. But be that as it may, that was two. That was kind of semi-explainable. I got that one. The third one was, I was near Alpine, Texas at La Vista RV Park. I had been there several times. It's a nice place just out of Alpine, Texas, going south on 118, going towards Big Bend. It's about 6 miles out of town, elevation about 5,500 feet. Nice place, but anyway, at this time, this was before they had just built it. The guy that built that RV park was named Tony. He owned a big ranch, and he just broke a little chunk off and made him a little RV park with put a little house on it and stuff. And it was nice. I mean, nobody knew about it, and so I was the only one there for, I don't know, gosh, probably a couple of months. But one night, and it was, and this is on a 2,000 acre ranch in the middle of nowhere. So one night, I'm laying there in bed. I used to sit out and watch the stars every evening. Sometimes I'd build a little campfire, sometimes I wouldn't, but most of the time I didn't, because I didn't like to fool with the fire. One night, I was laying in bed, and my window, of course, I always kept the windows open because it was so cool and nice. And I was able to lay in bed and look out and see the stars in the starlit sky of West Texas at the Big Bend area, where it's beautiful starlit sky. So I was sitting there just looking at the stars and dozed off. You know, that semi-sleep, you know what I mean? That kind of dozing stuff where you're not really asleep, but you're not awake either. And all of a sudden, the inside of the RV lit up, and I thought, what? Anyway, I thought there was somebody outside shining a flashlight inside the RV. I thought, now what in the hell? There's nobody here. Who's shining a damn flashlight? I thought, well, maybe it was the owner, Tony, and he'd come up there to check on something, and he had a flashlight. But that wasn't it. Off to the southeast, miles away, over a mountain, or right near a mountaintop, there was a bright light, just a ball of light. And then I thought, well, what could this be? So I watched it a few seconds, and it just sat right there. It didn't, no sound, no jet this time. And so I thought, well, so I got up, and I went outside, and of course, you could see clearly. You didn't have to worry about, tripping over anything. There's nothing there. So I was walking around. I didn't walk far from the RV, but I was watching that light trying to figure out what it was. And then the light just disappeared behind the mountain. I thought, well, that's the end of that crap. So I started to go back in, and then the light appeared about 30 degrees farther to the left, but still behind the mountains. But it popped up, and then it came straight for me, just like it was coming my direction. Of course, when you're staring at something, sometimes it's moving away from you, you get that same feeling. But it appeared to be coming at me at bright light, and I thought, well, what in the world is this? So anyway, it started getting closer and closer, and I thought, well, hell, I'm going to get out of here or get in the RV. But before I could do that, this thing just went straight up and boom, gone. Didn't make a single sound, not one sound at all. And I know people say, well, that had too much beer and all that shit. I hear you. But no, that was real. That got my attention. I thought, well, now that's got to be a UFO or something. Or maybe it was some government testing project on something we didn't know about. A lot of things from the skunk works, we don't know about till it's been out, till they've been testing it for 20 years. But anyway, this thing was, I don't know what the bright light was all about, but it didn't make any noise, so I eliminated the possibility of it being a jet or any kind of aircraft that I knew of. So anyway, that was probably one that I couldn't explain. And then what else? This is another one, and this was in the Prius, again, boondocking. And that's why I'm a little leery of going boondocking. Strange shit happens. Sometimes, not all the time. I've been boondocking a lot and had nothing happen, but every now and then you win the fruitcake lottery. Well, anyway, this was near the Four Corners area, and I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was a BLM site again, Bureau of Land Management. And it was a little hard to get to. The road was a little rough. I remember that. So I found the first, there was a road to the left. I turned down in. There was a campsite off to the right, about a quarter mile down that road. But you had to go kind of up a little rutted road up to a flat area, and that was the camp spot. And so I pulled up in there and parked my car in the direction that I wanted it to be, so that when the sun came up in the morning, it would wake me up. And I walked around. It was a nice place. There were some people in that area, but they were down the mountain, probably a half mile or so away. I could hear them occasionally, but not often. And where I was, there was nobody but me. And I didn't see anybody or hear anybody go down that road. So I made the assumption that it was probably going to be pretty quiet where I was, and it was. But I walked around there and got to checking out it was on a plateau, kind of a mesa, big mesa. And so I walked around, enjoyed the view, had a beer, enjoyed myself like I usually do. And I say that a lot. I know. So anyway, as I was walking around, I noticed that the entrance I had come in, even though it was a rough entrance, it was the one most often used. But there was about 50 feet away a really primitive road that hadn't been used in a long time because it was pretty well overgrown, but it had been a road that went back to the main road, not the highway, but the main road. And hey, there's water over the low water crossing. See up here? We'll drive across it. I'll put this is the slab road, and that's the low water crossing. And the water is across the road. We'll go through it. Help! But anyway, the next morning, I got up and got everything ready to go. Yeah, the water's probably about 4 inches deep. This is when the slab is nice, when it's like this. Of course, we've had some heavy rains in the area, spotted. This will clean out the old river. But anyway, to make a short story long, I walked around the next morning. I was walking for my exercise, and I noticed that some guy in a car had parked the little road that I came in on. He was parked right in the middle of it. There was no, if I hadn't known about that primitive road, I'd have been trapped. I'd had to go over there and wake the guy up. Now, why he didn't pull on in, there was plenty of room on that mesa for him to find him a spot, but for some reason he just plugged up the entrance. And I pondered that for a while, thinking, now why, what kind of brain dead idiot would do that? And where he was parked, from where he was parked, he could see my vehicle. So he had to have known that when he parked there, he had closed off my exit. Or whoever it was had to have known that. But of course, I still got the mind changer, so I'm not too excited about the whole deal. But I was a little concerned at what kind of mindset would do that, or what was the plan here. And the only thing I'd come up with is whoever it was, their plan was, apparently they didn't want to bother me that night because the car was, dark, and they'd had to take the risk of me having the advantage, you know what I mean, or getting to a weapon or whatever. And the plan was that the next day when I got ready to leave, that I would come and have to ask them to move, and then they'd kind of take control at that moment. That's the only thing I think of. And then what their plan was after that, I don't know. But it was just weird. It's just one of those strange things that happens. Okay, and there's been other things, a lot of little things, but this is really nice. The land, the water's across the bridge. This is a concrete bridge, low water crossing, as you can see, and you can see the water, and we're driving right through it. Again, it's about, I'm going to guess, 4 inches deep. In Texas, but anyway, on this road here, if the water is over those little bricks on the side of the road, they'll close this. They don't take any chances. If the water gets up to about 6 or 8 inches, they shut her down. Why? Well, in Texas, they have this saying, turn around, don't drown. And you'd be surprised how much force a little water can build up on your wheels as you're driving through water. And anyway, what else could I think of offhand? Nothing. Well, I did. I mentioned this. I was on my way back from a camping trip in the Prius again. Seemed like the Prius, we had some issues. But I ordered some food to go, went into a place, picked up the food, came out, and on my Prius, whenever you press the little key fob to unlock the doors, I had it set up, and I have my truck set up the same way, so that it only unlocks the passenger side door. And I do that intentionally because if somebody's on the other side of the car and is trying to get in, that door won't be locked, or will be locked, I'm sorry. So anyway, I had gone into this nice little place and ordered some food to go and had my little bag, and I'm coming back out, and I didn't see a soul. I always look around my vehicle as I'm approaching it to see if I see legs on the other side or whatever, just to be sure there's no one waiting there, some little predator. I didn't see a soul. I even scanned the parking lot, didn't see a soul. But you got to remember this: a predator is a predator, and the way they survive is by sneaking up on you. Okay, and so they're going to catch you when you're unawares, and and if you try to stay aware all the time, you're going to be totally paranoid. But anyway, I was reasonably on guard, like I am when I'm in any place that I'm not familiar with, just normal instinct stuff. Well, anyway, I got to the car, and I punched key fob, got it just as I sat down in the Prius. I mean, my butt had just touched the seat. And I looked to my right, and there's this black guy with tattoos all over his body, no shirt on, and he is banging on that window and jerking on that door handle trying to get in. And I thought, man, where did you come from? But in the seat to my right, now see, here's the sad part. If that door had been unlocked, he really had a double advantage, because that laying in the seat, even though it's covered, was my pistol. So when he got in, he would have probably had control of that pistol. I'd have been a goner, okay? That's all there is to it. But anyway, the pistol was in the seat. He's trying to get in, and he was banging on the window. I don't know if he was trying to break the window or just get my attention. He didn't break the window, thank goodness. They're pretty sturdy, apparently. But anyway, I was able to get the mind changer uncovered and get it in my hand. And when I lifted it up and pointed at him, immediately he changed his mind. I mean, immediately. I never saw a man. He almost fell down. He took off running the opposite direction just as fast as his little old skinny legs would carry him. But did he get my attention? Yes, he did. because I realized at that moment I had just barely avoided a terrible situation. I mean, that could have been bad. That could have been real bad, because if he could have got that door open and gotten in, more than likely he would have beat me to that pistol. More than likely. More than likely. Or there might have been a struggle over the pistol, and I'm certainly not the strongest man in the world. But anyway, having said that, that's just some of the stuff, and I've rambled on long enough. We're in Kingsland, Texas, and I'm headed back to the house. But you know, when you're out there RVing, boondocking, or in a car, van, or whatever, you know, keep your instincts turned on, you know, and go with them. Go with them, baby. I'm telling you the truth. Don't, you know, if you get the feeling that something ain't right, check out right now. Get out. Because there's something, it's amazing. Our bodies have honed down those instincts over millions of years, and they're good. They're very good. So just go with them. If your hair stands up on your little arms, get the hell out of Dodge. So, but be that as it may, guys, from Central Texas, thumbs up, carpe diem, adios, bye-bye. Buy anything you want, but if you think about it, use the link to Amazon products in the description of my videos. I appreciate it. I get a commission, doesn't cost you 1 penny. What else? Keep your health. You know, stretch, walk, drink plenty of water, take deep breaths. You know, whatever it takes to keep your health. Because without it, you ain't going RVing or camping, and you're going to miss seeing all the aliens and all that stuff, and getting mugged. You're going to miss that. You sure want to. This guy's headed. There he goes. He's going to turn. What do you know about that, Alfie? Anyway, guys, enjoy your life. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.